women, so I'm pleased to have lots of you here. And presenting today is Andrew Germer, like Germany, and he was recommended to us by Morgan Four, who is the sponsor of Women, so we're really excited to have him. He also has an MBA, but from Pepperdine, so we'll have to forgive him. But he has some interesting things to share today, and I hope you enjoy it.
Cool. So yeah, thank you everybody who's here and for giving me your time and your attention. I'm Andrew Germer. I actually founded this company, Know Why Marketing, about 48 hours ago. So a lot of the branding exercises that people go through are very fresh to me, both personally and professionally. And I'll share a little bit about what that process has been like so far, as well as hopefully some things that will inspire you to think about your personal brand in ways that you have not, and more importantly, actually give you a chance to represent yourself as you see fit in that way, personally, professionally, and otherwise, through the use of video. And here's my example of what you can do with just the device that all of us have, which is a smartphone.
Hi, I'm Andrew Germer. As a senior member of the Generation Y, or Millennial generation, I understand the challenges marketers face today reaching a very fast-moving digital audience. That's why I created Know Why Marketing, a digital agency dedicated to reaching the Generation Y audience. Outside of my marketing efforts, you can find me DJing local music venues as DJ Germer and producing a podcast called Owning Your Own. To contact me or learn more, visit andrewgermer.com.
So kind of janky, obviously in the selfie format, that's something people are used to seeing now, and obviously with YouTube and the proliferation of video across the web, the standard for quality has gone down. People accept lower quality things now all the time as normal. So even though that wasn't, professionally produced, even though my hand's shaking a bit, if somebody received that introduction of myself in their inbox as opposed to another PDF, another cover letter, another templated document that looks the same, there's no doubt that they're going to stand out, right? No matter what industry you're in. So that's kind of one of the premises I want to introduce as I talk about video as a tool for personal branding. But I want to ask this question now. So I'll take 3 bullet points from somebody. Just from that, what's one thing you know about me?
You're a DJ.
I'm a DJ. What's another thing from that video? Entrepreneur. One more thing. Assume things. I'm thick-skinned. I've got a website. Okay, so just from that alone, you could probably assume I know something maybe about marketing or technology, right? Because I put .coms on there. I have a creative or entrepreneurial side because I mentioned multiple things that I'm interested in. And for me, my personal brand, part of that journey of figuring out what is my personal brand was deciding, is it just one thing, or how do I balance all of these things, most of which are very unrelated. I'm not interested in things that are often easy to just put into one big sandwich. I like to do things sporadically. I like to wear a lot of different hats. So when I represent myself, and this would be an example of me representing myself in the brand as a business that I started, you guys are going to be more in the position of representing yourself to employers and ongoing as business people representing yourself in the business world or at networking events as a professional. So from that, you can assume a lot about me that's probably very, very accurate. You can probably also assume I like to talk. You can get a feel for my personality. You know obviously what I look like. You might even be able to guess from the background, things about my life, or you could really extrapolate a lot if you want to learn something in that way. That's why there's cameras here. I've never taken the opportunity in anywhere I've spoken to film myself. So to criticize myself or be critical and view it as you guys are seeing it. I've also never taken the opportunity to make a really nice personal branding video. So that's why cameras are here, are for myself in the sense that I'd like to learn, but more for you guys if you'd like at the end, and hopefully you'll be inspired if you aren't at this moment. You can use the video guys we have here, courtesy of myself and the people involved in their professional services, to film your own personal brand video, whether that's your pitch as a graduate, as a member, or an anticipating graduate of a program, whether you've got an actual business elevator speech and you've got an idea and you want to put something together, or you're thinking about getting investors, whatever it is, we've got a little area set up back there, and everybody here is very much encouraged to take advantage of that. So cameras are here, and it's kind of new for me, but it's exciting, and it's hopefully something by the end we all forget and we become really comfortable, and they're kind of just part of the room, which is a good thing. What does personal branding mean? I think it can be interpreted very broadly. There are 2 things that I want to emphasize today when it comes to personal branding. The first thing is understanding your why. And I'll go into more detail about what that means. But before you begin to project or capture anything about your personal brand, you've really got to understand what it is. And I think there are a few steps that I've gone through recently I'm going to share with you that help me kind of define what those things are. And I think they'll do the same for you as well. And the second part of your personal brand in today's world, in today's extremely digital, extremely real-time, extremely fast-moving marketplace, especially if you're working in things like entertainment and media, there are going to be 100 different profiles, some of which weren't even created by you by chance, that people could learn information about you that isn't necessarily always accurate. So what's exciting is today with your personal brand, you're in control. And so your online presence, as well as understanding what you're doing and why you're doing it, are going to be the two things that really help drive that. So that why thing that I mentioned comes from a guy named Simon Sinek. He helped pioneer it. And this golden circle that you see here is his explanation of the order in which you need to approach stuff when you're either trying to solve a problem, really go about anything in life, but solve a problem, evaluate yourself or your business and what you're like. And that order there of knowing why something is or why you're doing something, why you're in business, then how, then what, is a very natural way for things to progress when you look at it this way. It's not the way that we normally think. We often think the exact opposite. We go the exact opposite order because it's very easy and natural for our brains to evaluate it in that direction. It's really hard to get at that core of why you're doing something and why you're about something. So from a business level, organizations, they all know what they do. A lot of them, the majority of them know how they do it, hopefully. If they're operating profitably, they've probably got a really good grasp on those first two things, but very few organizations can tell you why. In one of the best TED Talks ever, I want to say it's the #7 TED Talk of all time, Simon Sinek presents this circle and uses Apple, Martin Luther King, the Wright brothers, presents some really strong examples of people that ended up succeeding because of the why. They knew that everything, if it came from an accurate or an authentic why, everything would grow from that. And if you think about the Apple example, it's the why is they want to make products that change the world, or they want to make products that impact people and allow them to do different things, not that they want to connect a bunch of parts, create circuit boards, write code, all that sort of stuff. That's the what and the how. So very few organizations have actually gone through that exercise as organizations. Now I'm going to do kind of a magic trick. I'm going to make it for people. Boom. Every person. This can be applied very easily to. So every person knows, for the most part, what they're about. In general, you could say, I have these skills, these are my talents, this is the stuff I've done in the past even. I know, really, I'm breathing. You could reduce it to that fundamental level. That's what people do. That's what we are. But how is the difference? How is where, as a professional and on a personal level, that's where experience comes in. That's where things that you do that set you apart from other people come into the play, right? That's the difference. And on the why level, it's not about making money, the same way it's not for an organization. The way I like to phrase it is the last sentence there. It's the reason you wake up every day. It doesn't have to be a singular one. It should hopefully be a combination of many different things. But the idea is making sure that you're starting in that middle or bottom up here with why. And when you're asking yourself, well, why am I doing this? Why am I sitting here right now? There should be an answer to that that's pretty clear, hopefully. And that's what you want to be articulating when you give your pitch. Because otherwise, like a resume, you're just sort of listing skills and qualifications that are very easy to scan over. You're not making an attempt to set yourself apart. And if you haven't gone through that journey individually, introspectively, there's no way anyone's going to feed that or see that in you without you helping them along that path. And there's certainly no way you can expect a potential employer to go through that exercise. You have to make it as easy as possible for them to do that. And video is a very, very powerful medium, and it allows you to do that online. So how do you define your why? And this is an exercise that I try to go through on a continuous basis because I think it's something that changes all the time. And in the same way that every day you wake up, you have different goals, you have different ambitions, you have different experiences that are going to happen. Those things are all going to factor into that. So there is no single answer, of course. But if you can practice going through that exercise all the time, the next time somebody actually meets you in an elevator, the next time you go to a networking event, that conversation will roll off your tongue so much easier because you're not reciting a speech. You're just sort of tapping into a part of yourself that you've already explored before. And you're drawing conclusions about, well, this is what I'm interested in, this is what I know I love, these are the people that are important to me, this is the stuff I do really well. And a lot of times that confluence of things, whether you've thought about it or not, has been what's led you to where you are today and to even sitting in this room right now. So when it comes to defining your why, there's a step or a three-step, a non-numerical math equation that I've invented, and it's two things, really. It's passion and people. And if you can work on identifying those things that you're passionate about, genuinely passionate about, and you can identify the people in your network, professionally, family members, all of that stuff, in the ways that they realistically contribute to you and balance your life, the way that they give you a return on the investment that you do or do not give to them, those are the factors that, to me, if you can analyze those, even on the surface, you put them together, you're going to find that purpose, that answer to why. And whether that's for yourself as a professional, whether it's the mission statement of a business, these steps here can help you accomplish that. So the first step I've outlined here in that process is unearthing kind of the passion projects you have. It might be very easy to say, I like this and I'm into these hobbies, but that's not necessarily where I'm getting at. What I'm getting at is, what are the things that you have to do? You have to do them or you're going to go crazy. They're the weird neurotic habits you have, perhaps. They're the run that you take every morning that you forget is even part of your day because you just have to do it. And that's the way you go about your day. Those things that are so innately inside of you that no matter where you almost lived, what language you spoke, that'd be the kind of person that you are. Those would be the actions you would commit. That would be the behavior you would go through, the people eventually that you're going to surround yourself with. And then similarly, if everyone, and this is sort of a utilitarian or even utopian if you think of it a positive way, if everyone were paid the same amount of money, that's a question I've used to kind of begin down that path with people having this conversation. If everyone were paid the same amount, if you take money out of the equation, however you want to illustrate it, what's that thing you would do? For me, I mean, DJing is a hobby of mine, but that's because the answer to that question for me is I would just play music for people all day and dance, and then sleep and wake up and do it again. If money literally didn't matter, if everyone was paid the same, that's kind of my simple answer for that, and I'm sure everyone's got their version. And sometimes it's the stuff that you get paid to do, and that's awesome. And when those overlaps happen, I think you really find harmony. And projecting your personal brand becomes a very natural process. You almost exude it everywhere that you go. It becomes this sort of really authentic being that you are. And whether that's represented in person or digitally, that's going to help overall when people are looking at working with you, whether they want to hire you or partner with you or whatever it is. And that last part there, this is the thing that I've struggled acknowledging personally, are the things that I do really, really well, really easily, at least compared to how much work or effort most people need to put into it. And that's the stuff that you have to be humble about to a certain degree, but it's the stuff that you should charge the most for as a professional. Those things that you can do very efficiently, that you can do really, really well, the stuff that people call you to get help about, the things that you don't even think about, and people are like, wow, I can't believe that you did that. That's the stuff that I'm talking about when I'm saying passion. The more you can unearth those things, the more you can tap into those little things, the easier defining that why becomes. So I think the things you do really well are the things that sometimes you don't even want to admit, and that can be hard. So I put in here my example to give you one, which is I love emerging technology, I love electronic music, and I love connecting with other people to solve problems. Those are three things I'm very passionate about. I think anyone that knows me, and even to the extent you've known me by speaking here, you can tell those are probably things I'm pretty passionate about. I'm here on my time to do this because I love doing it. The second part here to that equation is people. And this idea of investing in people is a phrase actually my mom used that helped me understand early on. There's got to be a balance in every relationship that you have. You obviously, whether it's romantic, friends, whatever it is, there's got to be a give and take, and you've got to be in a situation where you're mutually benefiting each other. That's what friendship and relationships of all kinds are about. So who are those people that you know already in your life? You have to invest in them. Your spouse, your partner, your children, the family members that are the obvious obligated ones, right? But then who are those people that you are investing in a lot for different reasons maybe you're not getting a return on? And those people, that net loss that you're getting on that equation, if you will, is going to wear you out. It's going to drain you. It's going to prevent you from really achieving that sort of peak, if you want to call it, or whatever the essence of like your harmony is, whether it's Maslow's hierarchy of needs, whether it's something philosophical, whether it's something fundamental or spiritual, that thing that you're always going to be trying to achieve, that we wake up every day to try to kind of solve, that problem of life, the more you incorporate realistically the balance you have with people, I think the more you're going to be feeding yourself naturally, the same way you dig into those things you do really well, and that's just going to start happening. So do you get a return? I mean, ask yourself that, and that'll really help you understand defining the why of your personal why or your professional why. And then who are the things and what are the things that you love to do for other people? What are those things that almost on a voluntary basis, but almost on a uncontrollable whim? Like if you see somebody who's working on an art project, or do you like to give them your opinion? Or if you see somebody crossing the street, is it your notion to go help them? Those simple fundamental reactions to basic situations that you don't really think about, try to think about them once in a while. They help define your character the more you understand them. And so the more you understand what you love to do for other people and you do naturally, that's kind of the behavioral equivalent of those skill sets, or the personal relationship equivalent of the professional version. And then who are the people that make you better? Who are those people that lift you up, either emotionally, spiritually, relationship-wise, romantically, otherwise? But more importantly, who are the people that make you automatically step your game up? The same way I remember playing sports anytime I was really old for each level. So I'd either be really, really old and I'd be the oldest kid at the sports level, or the next year I'd turn over and I'd be like one of the youngest two kids. And those years that I was the oldest one, I distinctly remember playing a little less intensely, trying a little less, honestly. And those years that I was surrounded by bigger kids who were aggressive and they're running harder and I felt pushed and challenged, I stepped my game up and I played, in my memory, all the best games in my life when I was one of the younger people on the field and different things. So whether that's an environment that you have to create for yourself, whether it's something that you've already got going on. I mean, being in a place like this is that. This fellowship, this companionship we have right now is that. And being, somebody in this room choosing to be here is that. But people outside of school, people outside of your job, people outside of your close circle of friends, how can you kind of look to those people and find people maybe that you didn't even expect to contribute to your life at all? Or use LinkedIn and the idea of the 7 degrees and Kevin Bacon and all of that, and find somebody who's 2 or 3 connections away. It's very easy to introduce yourself today if you think that there's something you can gain from somebody. And the classic joke, right? Everybody loves to talk about themselves. There's nothing that's easier for somebody to talk about than themselves a lot of times. So ask people. And here are my answers for that section, just to provide examples. I thrive in environments surrounded by people whom I admire. Very huge for me. I have definitely still every single day a respect, I don't want to say a respect issue, but I struggle working with people that I can't immediately find a reason to respect for all different reasons on the surface. And that's a personal area where I got to keep growing. But I can say with confidence, when I'm surrounded by people in an environment where I admire those people, I feel motivated by them. And I love people that take risks. I myself am very pro-risk. I only have to worry about myself. I don't have a family or wife right now, so I'm in a position to do that. So right now, in an environment where other people are kind of in this very pro-risk, risk-taking kind of adventurous spirit, that feeds me. And I know that really is connecting to my why, to my purpose, and to my being. And I love working with kids. Kids are fun and energetic. I'm not in any way going to be a parent soon, so part of me's kind of got this part that always wants to have an interaction with kids, and I think they're fascinating. And for my whole life, I've been interested in them. So someday when I am a parent, hopefully I'll have more wisdom that kind of comes through that experience. And so those are just notes that I put there, kind of going through that exercise myself. And if I were to do it again in 2 weeks, it might be a little bit different, and that's definitely part of the purpose. Haha, purpose, segue. People plus passion is purpose, and I put professionally and or personally because I'm not trying to tell you how to find your purpose in life, and that might look like what this equation equals. I'm trying to help you extract those things, hopefully that you're already thinking about every single day, so you can put them into a very concise 30 to 35 second verbalized pitch. That's really the goal of this. And just by one sentence responses to each of these, that's the pattern, that's the exercise that we're going to go through here. So where you can make that greatest impact are those things that are going to be easy for you to do. But asking yourself and surrounding yourself with people that are wiser and better than you are going to show you how you can improve. And that's the adventure, and that's the part that's fun, and it kind of becomes a self-perpetuating cycle where you know at any point when you've been in a great spot in your life, or it's just maybe it's a great class that you have, you're so excited to show up, it's almost like you don't even think about time, everything disappears, you're just in this zone, and there's this experience happening. And that's a really great place to be in. And the more that you can create an environment in your life that automatically creates that the second you walk in the room, the better off you're going to be. The more you're going to be extremely in touch with that why. And to finish the exercise here, the answer I put is I wake up every day to read about the latest advancements in technology, discuss them with others, which is huge because otherwise I'll just go crazy and internalize them. And I'll listen to new music, and I want to find that perfect track to rock a crowd with. That's something every single day, especially with electronic music. There's things coming out all the time, so it's an adventure for me among news, among all the things in my feed, to find that stuff that makes a difference in my life, or makes a difference in the people that I'm working with, or makes a difference in the people that are important to me that I have to invest in, even if I'm not getting back what it is, or even if I know I'm not giving them back what they invest in me at this time. So that's the kind of easy part. And then the end is just to inspire and be inspired while learning about the world each day. And that's a little fluffy and it's a little light, but that's also, I'm comfortable with it and it's generic enough, I think, to apply. And again, if I went through this exercise again, it'd probably be a different answer tomorrow. But right now, I feel pretty confident in the things that I put there, and I think they'll lead me to an awesome video at the end of this presentation. Second part of all of this, so after you've worried about understanding your why and gone through whatever exercises make sense to you, there's the online presence part. So let's put our hands up if you have ever interacted with, but probably most likely currently have a profile on this site. So vast majority of the room, there might be some sticklers. What about this one? About half. This one. About half as well. This one. It's okay. Yep, there's a fella, not a boy. There's a couple cool things on there for guys. This one, hopefully everybody. If not by the end, I'll be happy to help explain to you why that's definitely the one you want to invest in. And this one. A lot of us were upgraded by Google or encouraged to upgrade. What is the common theme among all of these different platforms? I hinted at it at the beginning. You are in control. That is what is so exciting today about personal branding. You can't just worry about one presence. In fact, you shouldn't just worry about one presence. It's a lot easier to spread your net in a wide way. And the array that you have from that and the people and the connections that you make from it are the vast majority of the time directly in your control. So there really are no excuses, is the other way to look at that, for not having your personal brand in order. And when I'm defining it in that way, I'm saying when somebody Googles you. So if you haven't Googled yourself lately, or if you've got a very, very common name in particular, those change out all the time, what's represented there. And so there are a lot of strategies we can go through, and that'll have to be a whole nother discussion. But the key here is with your personal brand and with social tools and with your online presence, you are in control. That is revolutionary. That has never been the case ever in the world. This is a list of sites, all of which you can effectively create yourself. Wikipedia is a bit of an exception, and we know how that works. But from my observation, and that's the asterisk at the end there, this is the order in which Google values social profiles. And this is really consistently seen whether you Google any individual's name, whether it's a celebrity or otherwise. These sites in this order are pretty much what's going to rank anytime you search somebody's name, unless they're extremely famous or it's extremely common. So I can say pretty closely, if you Google my name right now, I don't have a Wikipedia profile, maybe someday, but I have a personal website with myname.com, so it's an exact match to my name. And that's something I highly advise. If you've not bought the .com for your name and it is available, buy it, extremely cheap. You don't have to know how to build a website. Don't even worry about doing anything with it yet. Secure that though. That's internet real estate that is yours for the taking, and when someone else takes it, pretty much not going to get it back, or it's going to be very costly to you. So that's just a piece of advice. A personal website will almost always rank, especially because it's an exact match domain for your name. Then a Facebook page, because of the authority that that has. Twitter, super easy to create, extremely free, very, very extra free, and it ranks extraordinarily well. It's always in the top 5 for anybody's name. And that's one, especially if you have a very common name, you can still rank with your Twitter profile depending upon what you put in your handle or what modifier words that you use. And I can talk to anybody who's curious about that afterward. LinkedIn is number 5, but the reality is most people who have any profile will have LinkedIn in the professional world. And when we're talking about people Googling you in this context, we're pretty much talking about potential employers, people that are going to evaluate as much as they can on the surface from what you've put out on the web. LinkedIn is the place that very often will be the #1 result for people. So even if you are absolutely adamant about not using Facebook or Twitter or putting yourself out there, be on LinkedIn, have just the basic essentials filled out, have a moderately accurate profile picture that's pretty recent and isn't cropped or has, other people in the photo. Make sure that your current title is correct. Treat it like a rough digital resume, because even if you don't have these other profiles, even if you don't plan on having them soon, LinkedIn is always going to rank for your name. And you've probably noticed if you search for somebody on LinkedIn, what Google will pull up a lot is a search for that name within LinkedIn. So if somebody searches your name and you don't actually even have a profile, that result for everybody with that name will still show up in Google, and someone could eventually dive in and find you. That's a good thing. That's what we want to happen. That's exactly what the purpose of LinkedIn is. It's your digital resume. It's your storefront. It's that business card you don't have to give out because you just put everything right there and people can see your work or people can see what it is that you're interested in. And if you want to take it to the next level, a blog is the real way to do that, and just write something. once or twice a month. Show people that you know your stuff. Pull articles and content. Curate is the friendly word for that. Take other people's stuff, mash it together, put a spin on it, give them attribution and link out to their stuff, and write your opinion on it. That's a really common method to get content out on the web, and it's entirely approved and encouraged. So be as adventurous in that territory as you want to be, but definitely have a LinkedIn profile so that you've got something on this list showing up for your name if you don't already have something. Instagram, I definitely don't advise. Here's the thing I will say. Instagram photos are public by default. If you go to instagram.com/whatever username and you haven't set your photos as private, everything you've shot on Instagram is visible. So consider that, and obviously that's the platform where probably most people have a risk of being represented in a way that either they're unaware of or there isn't accurate, or is accurate and you wish it weren't out there. So be conscious that everything you've snapped for the most part on Instagram is going to be public unless you've changed your settings. And in that same light, it's going to also rank. So if your Instagram username is your name or anything related to it, it will rank within the first 20 results of Google unless you've got a very common name. Google Plus, I'm glad a lot of people said that they have it. Google upgraded us and forced a lot of people to get it. Keep playing their game. Keep clicking yes when they ask you to do stuff. They run the show, and I use the term game because that's exactly what it is. We're playing by their rules. Facebook's very much that way as well. This entire ecosystem of digital marketing that revolves around Google Plus and Facebook is voluntary. We don't have to use these apps. We don't have to use these programs. Feels like we do. Definitely feels like we do. I'm entirely dependent upon it for the most part for my income and a lot of the things that I speak to. So I choose to have fun with the game and dance with it, if you will, even if it's a twisted dance. But the idea being it's ongoing and it never stops. So the personal branding adventure doesn't stop when you just create your LinkedIn profile, right? There are going to be new channels. There are going to be new ways that people can search. There are going to be new algorithms that Google's rolling out and testing all the time. So when you see stuff moving around, that will continue to happen. You will never see the same results in the same place twice. Very, very rarely. And on Pinterest and Tumblr, just don't be an idiot. It's a very visual platform. For the most part, those skew obviously towards particular demographics and audiences. So just don't be foolish, but certainly don't worry about them being drivers of professional interest. I think anything that anyone's posted on Pinterest, especially if your name is your username, it'll show up, but very rarely do people end up in trouble there because it's usually other people's content. So not a lot of judgment's going to be passed. So how do you set yourself apart from other people? Size 200 font. Video. And that's the medium that I've been mentioning multiple times. Video shows passion, it shows personality. It's the coolest form of communication today because everyone can do it. The US has 80% smartphone penetration among people that own phones now, which all of those basically have a camera. Everyone's capable of creating this content, but even more so, people are capable of viewing it very, very easily. Every single device, every channel, every platform, every tablet, every screen size can pretty much watch video or has high speed or a data connection to be able to do that. So it is not nearly as limiting as it was before. You don't need to give someone a flash drive or, God forbid, a DVD or something, right? You can just give them a link. You can give them a QR code. You can give them a URL verbally. You can give them a bit.ly. Here's another thing that everyone's probably very conscious of, but our habits for consuming these mediums keep shrinking in terms of the amount of stuff that our attention span can handle. This is the average length of a video in terms of how long it's consumed on the web. You can see how much it's fluctuated, and that just goes from 5.5 to 6.5. But the trend is one that's going to keep going down. The average time that someone watches something now on the web is 5 minutes, 33 seconds. And the average video on the web is significantly longer than that. So Americans as a whole are consuming the same amount overall of video that we always have, just through a more divided set of channels and in much, much smaller chunks, right? So that's the exercise. An elevator pitch came from the premise of physically being in an elevator and having a limited amount of time to get your pitch across to somebody. The personal elevator pitch that I'm referencing today is essential because literally people just don't pay attention to anything after 30 to 45 seconds unless they're already going to be interested. So that's your window, of course, to make an impact when you're giving your pitch. So that's just data to kind of explain some of what's obvious, but put some hard numbers on it. So if you want to create a video today, where are the places that you can take advantage of it? YouTube, obviously, is the first place you want to put it. It's a well-known stat at this point. It's the second largest search engine in the world since Google owns it. And the vast majority of searches conducted on it are powered by Google entirely through the search engine. The obvious place you can put it from there, though, is Google+, since that's all tied into your YouTube and ranks extremely well, always on the first page, sometimes even in the knowledge graph, as they call it, on the right side, which you'll see for celebrities, different types of events. You'll see your face showing up in there if you start populating content in Google+. It can be used in job applications. As I mentioned in the beginning, imagine if you received that video from me as a video cover letter. It's not the greatest video in the world at all, but it's certainly something you're going to remember. You're going to know who I am. You're going to know, even if you're not even interested, the next time you go to a networking event, you're like, that was that guy who sent me that really poorly shot video of himself, and he's out here and he's doing stuff. It's going to be memorable, so that would be the takeaway to get from that. Obviously, using it as a cover letter replacement, that's your own call in terms of the appropriateness and the industry that you're in. Being a marketer, I like to be more creative and try to set myself apart in that way. LinkedIn profile, and this is something someone mentioned to me before speaking, that is the #1 place it should go, and I probably should have put it on top for that reason. The same way I emphasize the need to have a LinkedIn profile just for the existence of it. In the top of your profile in your summary, they now support URLs from YouTube, SoundCloud, all different media providers, so you can put a personal branding video on YouTube and embed it right into the top of your LinkedIn profile. So somebody gets to your page, they've got your video cover letter effectively right on that profile. So it's literally something LinkedIn is encouraging people to do, and I'm encouraging you to do it very strong right now because no one's really taken advantage of it yet. And it's a pretty new technology, but the concept itself isn't new at all. It's no more foreign than the idea of a profile picture. In fact, how long until everybody's profile pictures are video snippets or Vine videos or whatever else it is? So LinkedIn profile is the place that it should go. And if you want to take it to the next level and you're really into Twitter in particular, or you're using Twitter advantageously to reach out to potential employers, which is something I think is wise, you can put it in your bio, and then you're not spamming or directly pushing the video to people, but in your bio, where people learn about you, they can watch a quick video instead of being limited to 140 characters in a URL. And then you can use them for endorsements and references, and this isn't something I've done myself yet, but I love the idea. I love the idea the same way LinkedIn has endorsements and recommendations of leaving a video pitch for somebody, because I know I could leave a much more compelling recommendation for someone on a voicemail, or a video, or an in-person interview, of course. So the more authentic and visual and compelling that medium is, the more compelling the recommendation is going to be, and obviously that's what's important when you're having somebody give a recommendation. So how do we create a video? Well, you be here today, and we can do multiple takes, and if anybody isn't ready, that's not any problem at all. I just want to offer this as an idea. Some of this is an experimentation, a lot of it is because this is new. And so as a marketer who's obsessed with these things, who lives and wakes up every day to read about them and think about how they can be used strategically and for entertainment purposes and otherwise, this is a bit of an experiment for me. I think it's an opportunity to set yourself apart, so if it's interesting to you, definitely, I encourage you to participate. The other thing about this opportunity is if you have a business or there's just an idea that you've thought about moving forward with at some point, take the opportunity we have right now with professionals to try your pitch out. If you want to go not the personal route, you want to go the traditional elevator business pitch, give it a shot. Even if you don't even want to use it, even if it's for just a class project, think about that as an idea to set yourself apart. Video is just such an easy thing to create now, and as I mentioned, the standard that people have, much more acceptable. You don't need to be a Spielberg at all. You can be a handy cam selfie shooter and get the same message across, and that's the opportunity with that medium. So the videos, if you do want to participate, would be available in a couple weeks. We've got a sign-up form here, and Mike in the back has one as well. It's just your first, last, and an email, and we'll send them to you. So sign up now, and that is my call to action, which is the final step in your video. And so even though mine is not student-oriented, I created one that I think fits as a nice template, and this is if you really haven't, at this point, had your wheels spinning, you're not sure where to start, or you just want to have something that applies to, I think, everyone in this room. This template should be able to provide that by saying, hi, this is my name, here's the industry or the role that I generally work in and the amount of time I've been doing it. Here's the stuff I'm really good at. I like going 3, 2, 1, meaning 1 being the thing that is my strongest strength, if you will. That's your preference, however you want to present yourself. I'm currently a student in whatever your program is. This is what I'm seeking, and I really advise here picking being as specific as you can. If you want an internship with a marketing agency, say that explicitly and say when you are available for that. And if it's immediately, make sure that you say immediately. Or go the angle for actual employment. And I'm emphasizing the or there because there are different pitches. One of them is you humbly presenting yourself saying, here's what I bring to the table and I want to learn more and I want to be in an environment where I'm supported. And then the other one is, I'm the right person to get paid to do this. And I'm better candidate than these other people because. So they're obviously different opportunities that have a little bit of different intensity with them, but the purpose in step 2 there is the same. And then the third step, that passion and emotional component. That's your opportunity to bring that there and kind of be human in the video outside of the fact that it's visual and it features your face. Share something about yourself. For me, it was DJing, but for you, there's a number of things, of course, that it would be. And whether it's your family, whether it's volunteer work that you do, whether it's the things that you're organized in like this organization, be human. Give people something emotional to grasp onto that makes it relatable, and give them an idea of what you like to do and the types of places you like to work. Describe that environment like I describe people that are risk takers, people that are really fast-paced and high energy. That, for me, works. Totally opposite for a great number of people in this world. And if you let someone if you communicate that to somebody, the odds of you being a great fit down the line are just so much stronger. And wouldn't you rather be contacted by people that know that you're somebody that is this type A or is this very detail-oriented, whatever that thing is that sometimes if the job interview had just asked that one question, you wouldn't have needed to have it, or you would have been immediately locked in. Try to make that video that opportunity, that thing that preemptively will help somebody make that determination. I mean, you're getting an opportunity with the video to make your first impression before you have to make your first impression. So you can kind of get 2 chances at that, which is very, very, very rare in life. And as I mentioned in that last slide, the call to action. That's the last part. And for me, I just put video with text on top. It's not beautiful. These guys can do a much more appealing job of that, which is something else I'd recommend taking advantage of. But that call to action, where do I actually go? What do you actually want me to do? Is the call to action, I can't wait to hear back from you? Here are the ways you can contact me. I would love to learn more about this job. Here's the person that you need to go see. Here's the link that you need to click on. You've got to have those calls to action in there, and oftentimes the text component will make them explicitly obvious, and that's the easy way to do it. So those are the steps that I think have worked for me so far, and thank you very much for your time. I'll put them back up there if you want to help use that template to think. If you want to learn more about anything I've started, Know Why Marketing is purchased, but will be live very soon as it's only 48 hours old. My personal website with all my services and hobbies is at andrewgermer.com. And the podcast that I do is called Owning Your Own. So the links are right there if you want to support the show or listen. It's marketing, entertainment, and advice for creatives, entrepreneurs, and a lot of the people that I think are fascinating in the world across the nation. We do interviews of all different kinds, and we have segments, and we move through them. So if this was interesting at all to you, pretty much what just happened exists 3 to 4 days a week on iTunes. And you can listen to myself and my co-hosts talk about all different sorts of things that we think are interesting because it's part of our why. It's what we love to do. We would wake up and do it anyways. If we could sit in front of a microphone and other people get value from it, then great. So it's something we do because we love it. It's not a business effort. So thank you so much for your time. And if anyone has questions, I'll be here. I'd be happy to be a resource and answer anything. And of course, if you guys want to participate at all with video, I'll be the guinea pig. You can watch me. I'm going to go over there. I'll do mine. And if you are inspired to do yours, I absolutely encourage you to. So thank you very much.